You know, it's funny, now that I think about it, my mom told me about how she wanted to follow Jesus for so long, but no one would tell her how to come to know Christ. No one would actually lead her to accept Jesus into her heart. She would come to the front and they would fill out a form, and they would assume that she had already done it, she had already completed it. And so I remember my mom giving me that testimony growing up. So when I turned 8, we had a revival team come to town, and they handed us out these really cool pamphlets. They're like a cartoon, like a comic book instead of using the colors of like the bracelet that you get, it was like 5 fingers and they were different colors, and it was like a comic book. And so I slipped it in my jacket pocket, and then at school, I pulled it out of my jacket pocket, and I remember reading it, the entire thing, in math class. And at the end, it had a prayer, and I prayed and I asked Jesus into my heart during math. But a couple years later, I felt like my decision I thought I had started a life of sin at 10. Like, I would come down to the front all the time because I could not. I did not know how to accept the forgiveness of Jesus. And so I kept just wanting to have these religious moments over and over again because I didn't understand the indwelling of Jesus Christ in my heart, and confessing sin and being restored without having to come down the aisle, tell the pastor everything I've done. And so I tried to come down and get baptized again. I said, I don't think it took the first time. I don't think it worked. And they're like, what? So I got baptized again. And my pastor, he probably thought I didn't quite understand it. But eventually, as I grew up in my faith, I realized I did accept Jesus the first time. It was that I didn't know how to grow in my faith. I didn't know how to walk in a life where we're not perfect. We're redeemed. It's different. You know, I've always been called to ministry, and my husband's in ministry. He's a college minister. And so we had our daughter, and I was a college minister too. And then when we had our daughter, Olivia, I moved into education so that I could mirror her schedule and be with her. And so I taught for 10 years. I taught high school, 3rd grade, 5th grade, really loved it. And I thought that was my place. And I just, one day I told God, if you want me in ministry, if that door's still open, I'll walk through it. And so there came an opening on staff, and Kirby Ballas reached out to me, and he asked me if I would be interested in the role. And my first big job was being in charge of VBS. They were like, we need someone to run VBS. And I was like, I love VBS. And so, to be able to be in a position, I love that we're doing this study, because for me, the greatest honor is to lead people to know Jesus. Like that, to introduce them to an eternal relationship with Jesus, to change the projection of their entire life, or to walk into the projection of their entire life with Christ. I can't think of a more meaningful, important role, a better way to spend my life. And so as I moved into VBS and we saw these kids come to know Christ and we saw them make this decision to follow him, I was just like, heart's too full, it's too full, this is amazing. And through that, we've grown into now lead campus, 3 of our campuses, and it's just such meaningful work. I feel so honored to do it.